welcome to this edition of Martin's Top 10 Countdown. This week we are looking at live performances. When I was working on all the countdown videos I was doing, I realized all the videos I have of actual stage performances, although they're there, it's hard to rank them in with movies. So I took them all out and I ranked them separately. So here we go, Martin's Top 10 Live Performances. First and foremost, of course, is our honorable mention. Not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. This is from the group of Monty Python, primarily Eric Idle, although the rest of the surviving Pythons do appear in this recording. It's a decent musical. It is based on the life of Brian, so that Monty Python movie. They never did an actual stage production of it, just this one kind of operatic night where no one is in actual costumes and everyone's in nice dapper suits and you have a great orchestra and like only 5 actors singing all the parts because that's what you do in this kind of a setting. But it's the story of Life of Brian. If you love Life of Brian, I'm not a huge Life of Brian fan. That's probably my least favorite Monty Python thing. It's not bad, it's really good. If you want to hear a great rendition of So Always Look on the Bright Side of Life, definitely one to check out. Now let's move on to the actual list. Number 10, Into the Woods. This is an original Broadway production, is what I have, of the Stephen Sondheim musical. It is a great production. Bernadette Peters stars as the witch. She is amazing. If you've never heard Bernadette Peters sing, really check it out. She has a great voice, a great range. It is pretty standard. There's not a lot different between the stage production and the movie you can pick up in basically any video store that came out a few years back. Mainly, the biggest difference is there's a narrator who inevitably gets eaten by the giant. Number 9, Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. The original London cast performance starring Angela Lansbury, Murder, She Wrote herself, as Mrs. Lovett. This is a great production. I love this production so much. It's just so interesting. It's such great vocal performances. Angela Lansbury does Mrs. Lovett fantastically. It's definitely one to check out. If you're only familiar with the Tim Burton version, it's a good version. I have nothing against that version of this musical, but really, seriously, check out an actual stage production of it. It is magnifique. Number 8, Hero, the Rock Opera, live on stage. This is one not a lot of people know about. It was a rock opera produced maybe 15-ish years ago, I think a little more than that. Basically, it's the story of Jesus in a what-if scenario if he was born in present day instead of back when he was. So it looks at everything that happened, except everything's a lot more modern. There are, of course, the major differences because Christianity hadn't been a thing for the entire existence of everything. But it looks at how we would look at him today, how things would be different, how the media would actually kind of interact with Jesus, because he'd be a media sensation nowadays. You hear of a guy who's healing people and turning water into wine and doing all these great things, and people would be like, oh my God, and you'd get media coverage on it. Well, then it was media coverage, now it'd be a meme on Facebook. But it is a great show, amazing music. None of the performers who are in this is jumping into my head right now, but it is some great Christian performers. It is a tremendous rock opera, and really, if you've never seen it, never listened to it, try it out, it is really good. Number 7, Miss Saigon. This is the 25th anniversary performance of this show. I had actually never seen Miss Saigon before I watched this recording of it. It was amazing. They bring a helicopter on stage. It doesn't have all the props to it, but it is an amazing thing to see, an actual full-size helicopter brought onto a stage. It makes you want to see this show live. Basically, if you've never seen Miss Saigon, it takes place at the end of the Vietnam War, where a Vietnamese woman falls in love with an American GI. The American GI marries her, and then quickly Saigon falls, and he is forced to leave Saigon, leaving her behind because, well, when Saigon fell, the Americans just went and got the hell out of there as fast as they could. The show then jumps into the future for the second act of the show, where the Vietnamese woman has had a child from the American, and it goes into the process of her trying to get her son sent back to America to be with her father to live a better life than being a half American, half Vietnamese child living in Vietnam post-Vietnam War. Number 6, Les Mis, the musical event of a lifetime. This is the 25th anniversary of this one as well. This is just the version I own. Any version of Les Mis is a great version of Les Mis to watch. It is a classic tale. Most people know what it is about. This is just a huge stage production of it. They have a giant orchestra. It is really cool. Number 5, Newsies, the Broadway musical. To be honest, I saw the theatrical version a few years ago. I wasn't that impressed with it. The music wasn't bad, but I wasn't super drawn in by Christian Bale. Great actor, just not one of his better performances. Then again, he was, young, so that could have been part of it. But anyways, one day I'm looking to see what's playing in a theater nearby, and I see this. They're showing it on the big screen. And I was already going to see something with one of my friends named AJ, and I look at him and I go, "Hey AJ, want to go see Newsies as long as we're seeing Aladdin?" Because we were going to see Aladdin. And he looked at me and he said, "Meh." So we went and saw Newsies, because why not? It's something, but we went in and it was great. This is a great production. This is the original Broadway cast. It just blew my mind. The music was great, the plot was good. It focuses on the Newsies strike back around the turn of the century, 1902-ish, and how they rose up to actually have a fair wage and a fair living going on, while they were being really gutted by the newspaper industry for what they were going to be able to make off of selling their newspapers. It sounds like a really boring plot, but it is really such a good musical. Number 4, Rent, filmed live on Broadway, the final performance. This is how I watch Rent. I don't sit down and watch the theatrical movie because I don't like the theatrical movie. I don't think it's that great, but I love this. I love the stage production of this show, and this is a great performance of it. It was their last Broadway performance before they went strictly to a touring performance. Unfortunately, it doesn't feature any of the original actors, but it's still a great show. It still has great music. I feel like Rent is such a well-known musical. Going in depth into what it's about is a little pointless time-wise, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Rent, filmed live on Broadway, it's really worth seeing. Number 3, Chess in Concert. I bought this on a whim one day. I was at Barnes & Noble flipping through musical show DVDs that they had, and I came across this, and this is literally what the cover looked like. White with the words Chess in Concert on it. And my mind went, ooh! For the life of me, I have no idea why my mind went ooh, but I took it home, I watched it, and I was amazed. This one is Tim Rice, who did this particular musical. Tim Rice, look him up, he's famous for a bunch of musicals. This is my favorite of his. Basically, the plot of this musical is, it takes place during the Cold War, and you have a Soviet chess player preparing to play against an American chess player. It really kind of looks like it's the Bobby Fischer story, except they didn't want to use Bobby Fischer or basically anyone else from reality. But it's looking at how the Cold War even affects something as simple as a chess game. How there's so much politics going on, and how you can get a big head over yourself, thinking that you're the best and you should be paid the most because you're an athlete, although you're a chess player, you think you're the best, and then you find out someone is better. The musical then changes gears in the second act, where it is actually the following year's World Championship game, where now the champion, who's defected from Russia to England, is now playing against another Russian. So it continues the Cold War idea. It's just really interesting. It is an amazing show with some amazing music. It's another one where it's in concert, so it's not really a full-on stage production, but it's very beautifully done. I really enjoyed Chess. I was so amazed by the music the first time I saw it. I had to run out and buy this version CD. Number 2, Sunday in the Park with George. This is again the original Broadway cast recording, starring Mandy Patinkin. If you've ever watched Criminal Minds, the first season, or more likely The Princess Bride, you know who Mandy Patinkin is. He is amazing. If you've never heard this man sing, you are missing out. This man has a beautiful voice. This is a great concept. I think that's why I like this show, it's just its concept. Because it looks at George Seurat, the famous painter who painted the picture Sunday in the Park of Lagrange, on the island of Lagrange on a Sunday morning. I was a little screwy with that title, but the title of the painting is somewhere in there, which was the painting done in all dots. And it's about him painting this painting. It's about him spending time on the island, being with his girlfriend, and obsessing over finishing this work of art that everyone is calling him insane for obsessing about because it's dots. And then you find out basically every character in the show he turned into part of the painting. That this one character over here becomes this part of this painting. So at the end of the first act, you get a beautiful tableau where the actors are now sitting and acting out the painting. And then you move into the second act, which then jumps into the future, which really takes this story from being historically accurate to being completely made up by following an ancestor of George Seurat, which he had no known ancestors, who is also an artist who is celebrating the 100th anniversary of the original painting, except they use lasers instead of dots. It is a great musical. It has great music. This is Stephen Sondheim. Again, he did Into the Woods way back when, but Sondheim is a great composer, and I love this show. Number 1, the Reduced Shakespeare Company presents the complete works of William Shakespeare Abridged. This is not a musical. Not in any way, shape, or form, but this is an amazing comedy. I fell absolutely madly in love with this show. I was surprised I ever found an actual copy for myself. Basically, 3 idiots do the complete works of William Shakespeare in about 2 hours. And I'm not joking, they cover every Shakespearean play, including the sonnets. All of it's there, condensed, but it's all there. And they play all the parts, male, female, everything. And it basically is a great show of great humor, and 3 guys running around doing all these parts. It is amazing, it's captivating, and it's a show I will always love, hence why it got the number 1 spot. So, now that we've covered my top 10 live performances, I hope you enjoyed it. Hit me up with any comments. If you have some other live performances you think I should check out, or if you have some ideas for some top 10 lists you think I should put together. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.